9 centuries ago, a city disappeared beneath Mexico's jungle, and nobody noticed until last week. Nearly 7,000 structures once stood there, painted red, pink, and black, home to enough people to fill a small town today. No shovel touched this ground. No footprint
The deserts
marked
of
its
southern
return.
Iraq. Researchers were
Instead,
looking at something
a
that
plane
seemed
swept
almost
overhead,
ordinary, a low
sent
ridge
invisible
rising
beams
above.
through solid canopy, and pulled ancient secrets out of hiding. Here's the strange part. A busy highway sits only minutes away, yet drivers pass this exact place daily, completely unawares. So how did modern eyes finally find what years of searching missed? Stay with me, because the reveal involves technology you wouldn't expect. Drop your country below in the comments.
Beneath it were
And
the
if buried
remains of a
worlds
huge
thrill you
ancient
as much
settlement,
as they thrill me,
identified in the source
hit
material
subscribe
as
before the next
Alexander.
discovery surfaces. At first, there was nothing to see. Just jungle, dense canopy, uneven ground, thousands of trees covering what looked like completely ordinary land. For centuries, that's exactly what everyone believed was there. But then researchers looked beneath the trees, and the jungle suddenly became something else. The breakthrough came from a technology called LiDAR. From above the forest, aircraft fired thousands of laser pulses toward the ground every second. Most struck leaves,
Into the
others
ground.
hit branches,
Streets,
but some slipped through
residential
tiny gaps in the
areas,
canopy and reached the
workshops,
earth below.
canals,
Then
temple
they came
compounds.
back. And when researchers processed those returns, the forest began to disappear. Not literally. Digitally,
Human remains preserved
trees
inside the
vanished from the
darkness.
data.
These
revealing
remains
shapes
could
that
provide
no ordinary
valuable
photograph
information
could have
about
shown.
early populations in the Americas.
Straight lines, raised platforms, ancient roads, massive structures. And then the scale became almost impossible to ignore. Nearly 7,000 structures emerged from the scan. Temples, reservoirs, causeways, plazas, and pyramid-like monuments hidden beneath centuries of vegetation. What looked like empty jungle was actually an enormous Maya city. Researchers named it Valeriana. And this wasn't some small forgotten settlement. The entire urban area stretched across, region roughly comparable in size to a small European capital. At its peak, researchers estimate that as many as 50,000 people may have lived here. Think about that. Tens of thousands of people once moved through these streets, gathered in these plazas, crossed these causeways, and climbed these temples. Then, slowly, they were gone. But the city itself didn't disappear. It remained exactly where they left it. The jungle simply grew over everything. And what makes the discovery even more extraordinary is what researchers found inside the ruins. There was evidence of enormous public plazas, reservoirs designed to store water, and a Maya ball court where people played a ritual game found across the civilization. The temples would have risen above the surrounding landscape, and they may have looked nothing like the gray ruins we imagine today. Experts believe many of these surfaces were coated with bright lime plaster and painted in colors including red, pink, and black. So imagine what this place looked like 9 centuries ago. Thousands of people moving through a brilliant painted city. Pyramids rising above the canopy. Markets, ceremonies, roads, reservoirs and crowded plazas stretching across the landscape. And then something changed. The city wasn't destroyed in a single night. Instead, a combination of droughts, warfare, political instability, and other pressures gradually weakened Maya cities across the region. Populations scattered. Buildings were abandoned. And once humans stopped maintaining the landscape, the forest began taking it back. Trees grew over roads. Roots pushed through walls. Canopies swallowed temples. Eventually, the city became almost impossible to recognize from above. But here's the detail that makes Valeriana truly difficult to comprehend. It wasn't hidden hundreds of miles from civilization. It was only minutes from a modern road. People had been driving past this landscape for years. Vehicles passed nearby. Farmers worked surrounding land. Modern life continued just beyond the trees. And beneath it all was a city capable of supporting tens of thousands of people. Which raises a much bigger question. If something this enormous could remain hidden beside modern infrastructure for centuries, what else are we still failing to see? Because Valeriana may not be an isolated discovery, LiDAR surveys across Central America have already exposed roads, settlements, terraces, and structures that were almost impossible to detect from the ground. Piece by piece, the picture of the ancient Maya world is changing. And perhaps that's the most fascinating part of this entire discovery. The Maya civilization didn't simply vanish. Millions of Maya people and their descendants still live across the region today. What disappeared was something else. Our ability to see what had been left behind. For centuries, the jungle wasn't hiding an empty landscape. It was hiding a civilization. And all it took was looking at the forest in a completely different way. Perhaps the real discovery here isn't a hidden city. It's how much of the past still surrounds us, unnoticed, waiting beneath the surface of everyday life. If mysteries like this fascinate you, subscribe because the jungle, it seems, is only beginning to give up its secrets.